This is Untitled Palmer Show, episode 1. We're quite privileged to be with former England international Carlton Palmer, a man I've spent a great deal of time with recently, getting to know and getting to work out. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I've got
Good to see you.
I've been quite excited about this. When you see someone's public persona, it's often very different to them as a person when you get to know them. So I've been quite excited to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, looking forward to it, pal.
Love that. Tell us a little bit about Carlton Palmer. Tell us a little bit about your journey, something poignant that happened to you as a youngster.
As a youngster, well, I think what it was, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a professional footballer. I can't remember the exact age, but from a very young age. And I remember going to Jamaica, and where my grandmother lives is a place called Manchester, and it's a famous hill called Shooter's Hill.
Wow.
So I used to go to the top of the hill. So from Shooter's Hill comes Usain Bolt, Bob Marley and the Wailers. So
it's quite a powerful area then for producing talent.
Yeah, for sure. So I used to go up and play football up there. Now, when you play football in Jamaica in those days, like, it was barefoot. Yeah. People, you know, if you go past somebody, they kick you up in the air. And I remember coming down the hill to my grandma's house, and I was crying because they'd kick me. You know, I'm from the UK, I'm soft and all of that. And when I get back down, my grandma was there, and she'd be like, "Carly, get back up the hill. Get back up the hill, Carly." And then that's how it started. I used to get rough, because that's how it was in Jamaica. If you're going to play football them days, if you went past somebody, they're just going to kick you up in the air.
So your nan had that proper Jamaican mentality then. You've got to stick up for yourself. You've got to get back up the hill. You've got to be playing.
Yeah, I was down crying. I was telling her what was happening and everything. It was, "Carly, get back up the hill. Get back up that hill." You know, and that's how it all started.
Now, from how it started to where it went, it's an incredible journey as a footballer. You know yourself, every young lad in the country, in the world, dreams of one day pulling on a club shirt and being a professional footballer. Today we're in the oldest football ground in the UK, in the world, I'm led to believe, in Hallam. What sort of memories does football hold for you when you come to places like this?
Well, I mean, I would never, when I first started thinking about playing football, I never had envisaged having the career that I did have. It was always a battle for me from day one. When I went, you know, I was Chelsea schoolboy, then didn't get...
A lot of people don't know that about you, being a Chelsea schoolboy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was Chelsea schoolboy, and then Ken Bents tried to buy me back years later, having not taken me on.
Really?
You know, and so it was always a battle for me. So it was not ever thinking of, oh, I was going to make it as a footballer, I was going to go on to play for England. It was just getting through the next, working hard to just get through the next phase. That was all, you know. When I got released by Chelsea, then I went to West Brom. I actually signed on a YTS scheme. So I didn't actually get signed on...
As a professional?
As a professional. It was a youth
chance to work your way through the old YTS scheme, becoming a professional if you make the grade and process.
Exactly, and then it's just strange how things worked out. I went on that, and it's difficult because all the rest of the boys were in academies or come from academies. We had players like Carl Addison and Hector Winter who were internationals, you know, and I'm mixing with all these players, and I was miles off. And then it come to a point where, you know, I was gonna get released from the football club because I hadn't been playing for the youth team, hadn't been playing for the reserves, and then Ron Atkinson took over, and then was a completely different story then.
Now, everybody's got a picture of Ron Atkinson. No doubt over the years, he's a very colourful character. I visualise him with that big sheepskin on, walking about like the top dog of the club. What's the real Ron Atkinson like? Tell me what you make of Ron Atkinson.
Well, Ron Atkinson, well, listen, I speak to him like twice, 3 times a
Really?
week.
You're that close with him even now?
Yeah, he's like my second dad. Yeah. It's not just what he's taught me in football. Both him and Howard Wilkinson have both had a profound effect on my life off the pitch as well. Just the advice they've given me, and
they've always been there for you throughout your career.
Yeah, always. I need to see, if I don't respect you, then there's a problem. I won't do anything. But if I've got respect for you and I trust you, then I'll do whatever you ask me to do. And Ron was always, from when he first put me in the first team, it was always, forget everybody else, forget what everybody else does, do what you do. what you do well.
Like a horse with blinkers.
Yeah.
Just running your own race.
Do what you do what you do well. Don't worry about anybody else. And that's what I've always done. Tried to stay in my own lane, tried to do what I can to the best of my ability. And then when I found out what I possessed, which was a huge engine, fitness, then with the confidence that the likes of Ron gave me, I just grew as a player, because I knew when I went out and played in whether it was at midfield or centre back, nobody was as fit as me. So they might have more ability than me, they might have tons more ability than me, but fitness is a leveller.
Yeah. Now, having been so close to Ron Atkinson throughout your career, was it difficult for you to deal with when Ron Atkinson was in the press mixed up with allegations of racism? How did you handle that personally?
Well, it was a difficult one, because 100% I know Ron Atkinson is not a racist. You know, listen, I'm not going to condone the comment he made. But listen,
that.
Yeah, but let's by the grace of God, if we were all in our living rooms and we didn't have cameras on us or microphones on, I bet all of us would be guilty of some kind of
misdemeanor or some kind of crime.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing about Ron is he's not a racist in any way, shape or form. I've never ever heard him he's never ever made reference to my colour, and in all the time I've been in the dressing room, he's never made reference to anybody else's colour.
Yeah, so you've never seen anything like that personally go on?
No. I think Ron's just part of that old school, you know, that love thy neighbour. I'm not excusing him, I'm not condoning the comments he made, but I think it was at a time where everything's coming politically correct. I mean, nowadays, you don't know what you can say from what you can't say, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you say coloured? Can you say black? Can you say this? Can you say that? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not condoning the comment he made. But as I say, my experience of him for years, since I'm 55 years of age and I've known Ron Atkinson.
55?
Yeah.
How are you 55 and you're looking younger than me?
Well, I don't know. I'm very lucky with the mindset I have. I'm a very positive person. I train hard, you know, I train every day. I try not, I'm one of these people, like, if I blow, I blow. Like my missus will tell you, like, I'm one of these people, I think about something, then it'll build, blow, and once it's done, it's done. Once I've said what I've got to say, I move on and get on with it. It's
like
done.
A toddler, easily pleased, easily angered.
Exactly, and then I just move on. So, yeah, and I try, I've always tried to enjoy my life, and I think that's a big part of staying young.
Love that energy. I can relate to that.
Yeah, no. So I was really disappointed for Ron when he was ringing me up. And funny enough, when you look at now, years ago he had his 70th birthday party, and all the people that should have been there, who've known him over the years, there was only myself who was invited to his party, because he all felt they all let him down. Because you see,
is that quite hurtful for you to see someone you admire having to deal with that, relationships and personal friendships, and not honouring his birthday? Is that something that?
Well, no, he didn't invite them.
Oh, he didn't invite them
because people had let him down. They hadn't supported him in his hour of need. You know, if you think he's a racist, if you think he was, well, come out and say it. But if you don't, then come out and support him. I knew that by coming out and supporting him, I would get a backlash from black people, black players.
Did you get that backlash?
Yeah, I did. But my argument is still the same. I said, I know the person, I know him personally, and he's not a racist.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it is.
Yeah.
There's no argument for that.
No, I make you right. Now, football from where it is now to your generation has changed a lot. I mean, I know you're from the generation where players, younger players in particular, would clean the older players' football boots. Who was your apprentice? Any apprentices that you've had over the years that we might know?
No, well, I was boot boy for the late Cyril Regis.
Really?
Yeah, I was his boot boy.
What was Cyril like with you?
No, Cyril was brilliant with me. Absolutely brilliant with me.
Like he'd give you a drink at Christmas?
No, I used to give, like, you know, I've got a picture now of when I made my debut for West Brom, and Cyril was sponsored by Patrick, and he gave me a pair of his boots with Patrick and had his name down the side.
Wow.
Like,
I bet that impressed the rest of the lads when you were younger.
Yeah, but I remember one game, like, listen, you know, he's on this scoring run, Cyril, and you know what, players are superstitious. So he's on this scoring run.
Glad you mentioned that. We're going to get onto the superstitious thing a bit later.
Yeah, so players are superstitious. So my job was obviously to make sure all Cyril's boots were in and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah.
But he was very meticulous about it.
Yeah, so Monday I got in and Cyril called me in, and he punched me and I doubled up. And he's crying. He said, "You didn't put my boots in, did you? The
Didn't
right
dub
boots
'em.
in." And I hadn't put these right boots in. I apologised. And he said to me, "Listen, if you're going to do a job, do it right." And from then on, that was almost my mentality.
Like a mantra.
Yeah, no, so like for instance now, if I was going to cut the lawn now, it looked like Wembley. If I wasn't going to do it like that, I wouldn't bother. And it was just a lesson that was learned, that my job was to take care of his boots, right, regardless of whether he scored or not, or superstitious. My job was
That was your job. You need to do that properly.
And I didn't do it right.
Yeah.
And that's all he was saying to me. Listen, if you're going to do a job, do it properly.
He's bang on.
Yeah.
Can you imagine today a top player at a football club, for instance, I'm going to say for West Brom, for example, body shotting one of the youth players because he hasn't dubbed his boots?
Oh, it'd be all going off now, wouldn't it?
It would go off, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it going off, but it was the best lesson I learned.
That's what I'm trying to say. Have we taken away a lot of this growing young men into full men by the mollycoddling that goes on in football currently? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it leads on to the mental health issues, doesn't it, now? You know, that so many players, so many people now are now all of a sudden, in inverted commas, now got mental health issues. Some of them may genuinely have mental health issues, but how has it all of a sudden been a common sort of denominator now?
Interesting point.
Apart from, oh, well, listen, life's a bit tough now.
Yeah.
Life's a bit tough.
It's always been tough though, hasn't it?
It's been tough, and if you're going to be successful, you have to go through. I don't know anybody in this world who's been successful in life who hasn't been through tough periods.
Yeah,
You have to tough it out.
Yeah,
you have to. I'm at Grantham Town at the moment now, and we've not had the greatest start of the season. So it'd be easy for me now to say, right, I don't really need this. I've got enough money. I'm financially secure. This, that, and the other. It's not. It's tough. It's difficult. But then that's down to me to find a way to sort it out, to get us getting results and to get us to stay in the league. And I see it as a challenge. I don't see it as, oh, well, the chairman might come to me and give me a tap and say, like, listen, your time's up. I just think, right, no, my job is to find a way to get us results, however that may be. And you have to have that mental strength and mental desire to want to do that. You're not going to be successful at something. Nobody, like, you know, I only go off sport, like Floyd Mayweather. How does Floyd Mayweather, 6 different weight classes, has he never turned up on a given fight night and not feeling 100%?
He must have.
Or have an injury or whatever, but he always found a way to win. And you see the common denominator in that is when you see Floyd away from, you know, everybody talks about him throwing money around and doing this
Drinking
and that.
Coca-Cola.
He's just winding people up.
He's working. In the gym, man.
He's working. He's working when people are sleeping at when people are sleeping at 1 o'clock. He's out running.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah,
I've been there to some of his fights. I've seen how he conducts himself fight week, and it's all a facade.
Yeah.
He's in the gym, really. He's working harder than anyone else.
Correct. And that's the thing whereby, you know, he must have faced adversity, but he's not come out. He's found a way to win. You know, you see some people like, you know, no disrespect to David A. He lost to Vladimir Klitschko and he's coming out pointing to his toe. No, you lost the fight. Don't make excuses.
I get that.
You know, sometimes you're not good enough. Sometimes
you will come up short.
Sometimes you come up short, but give it your best shot. Put your hands up and say, right, I'm not good enough. That's it.
See how now you're earning your stripes in management the same way you did football. You're not asking for any favours. You're at Grantham Town.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating for you to see the same group of managers on the manager merry-go-round? So it's like they lose a job, for instance, at one Premier League club. Within 6 months, they've got another opportunity. Is that frustrating for young managers to see the same faces in and around the jobs a lot?
Well, it's not frustrating for me, but I can see the frustration of other other ex-players and whatever. But this is down to agents. The game's run by agents now.
Really?
Yeah, the game's run by agents. So the chairman will just deal with an agent. And this is what it is. If an agent's got X amount of players or X amount of managers, those are the players he's going to put into you. He's not going to put the best people into you because
it doesn't benefit him.
It doesn't benefit him. So that's just the way it goes. I think that cycle will eventually break because those managers now that have been on that merry-go-round are reaching that time of age, haven't they? Do you know what I mean?
Going out to pasture a little bit.
Exactly, and I think that merry-go-round will soon get broken up. But it is about agents and how good your agent is getting in you, who your agent knows, and that's always been the way, even with moves to clubs back in the past. You know, you get moved to a certain club because an agent's dealing with a certain club.
Do agents have too much power in football nowadays?
Well,
Has it gone full circle from when the managers didn't really want to deal with the agents to now they've got no choice but the agents calling a lot of the shots?
Yeah, but what it is the agents have got too much power, but the clubs are giving them the power and the players are giving them the power. Now, I'm not being funny with you. Yes, if you're a top player, if you're a really top player and you're an international, yes, of course you need an agent because you need your commercial stuff sorted and off the field stuff sorted. Yeah. But generally, I mean, I'm dealing with agents 2 leagues off the Football League. You know, why do you need an agent for? And the one thing is, a fact is, an agent will not get you more money. Agent will actually take money out your pocket and not get you more money if you've got a budget like when I was at Stockport County.
Do you think it's a status thing with some of the players in the lower division?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. If you've got a budget like my budget was at Stockport County, it doesn't matter to me whether you brought your agent in with you.
Your budget's not going to change, is it?
I can't shift my budget. And the only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have to pay you money. So I'll give you, for instance, Luke Beckett, he had his agent, and he was my top goal scorer. He was doing really well. We bought him from Chesterfield. A lot of clubs were in for him. And I wanted to give him a new contract. So I spoke to Brendan Elwood and I said, listen, Brendan, I think we need to tie him down a new contract. Brendan said, fine. So the next thing I'm speaking to Luke, and Luke goes, well, you need to speak to my agent. I said, well, what do I need to speak to your agent about? I said, the offer I'm going to make you is going to make you the highest paid player in the football club. I can't go above that offer. So
you've already broken your wage structure to make that offer, haven't you?
Yeah, so I can't go in. So he said to me, well, my agent will be due £50,000. So I said to him, £50,000 for what? He's not negotiated the deal, and
You've
there's
offered
nothing
the deal.
for
It doesn't need changing.
It doesn't. So I spoke to the chairman about it, and the chairman came in, and I said to Luke Beckett, who do you want this cheque written out to? It can be written out to Luke Beckett, or it can be written out to your agent. And he had the cheque written out to him, and the agent tried to take him to court. And when they went to court, they asked him if he'd done the deal. He hadn't done the deal, so he wasn't entitled to any money. But these players haven't got. You know, it's easy to find out. If you ring up the PFA, you can find out, if you were going to Chelsea, you can find out what the average wage is in Chelsea, and all you've got to do is be realistic with yourself. And then if you're going in, like when I went to Leeds United, Howard Wilkinson, I went in, I'd done a deal to go to Aston Villa. That was done and dusted and agreed, but Ron had been off to the World Cup. In the meantime, Howard Wilkinson had made an increased offer for me to go to Leeds United. So what I'd used was an accountant. So me and Dave Plummer went across there because obviously it was a big money move, so I don't know about the tax issues and whatever. I would actually give me more money in the deal because he didn't have to pay an agent.
Wow.
And that's what it is. But, you know, you see these kids
I suppose it was a lot smoother process for him having then to negotiate this. Here's more money, let's get it done.
Yeah, no, because I did the deal with him. Yeah. I did the deal with Howard and left David to sort out all the financial negotiations. Me and Howard went walking around the ground and he was showing me all around. When we come back, the deal was done.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, the money available to modern footballers in comparison to when you played, I know relatively not that long ago, but the gulp and the jump in finances available, especially to younger players, is incredible. What are your thoughts on the amount of money players earn at such a young age?
Well, the thing that immediately springs to mind about that, I mean, I caught the back end of it as I was coming out. But you know what? In my day, like say when I was at West Brom, you knew who were the best players in the club were.
Would that reflect the wage structure?
Well, it would reflect the cars in the car park. You know.
Really?
Yeah. Brian Robson, captain of England. You know.
What did he drive?
I think at the time he was driving a Jag. Cyril Regis. And the thing is now, you go into a car park, well, like when I went to Leeds United, you know, you've got Gordon Strachan, Gary McAllister, Tony DiRigo, David Batty, you've got all your top players. You wouldn't have a reserve team player having a top car up there. It just wouldn't happen. Now you walk into a football club, you don't know who's who, you know, and that's just the way the game's gone. I don't begrudge them the money because it's not their fault. That's just the way the game's gone.
Does it make players soft having that much money early? Does it take away the hunger and the drive a little bit from a player?
Well, it does if you're not interested in playing football. If you're interested in playing football, money's a byproduct of any kind of success. If you're successful in anything...
So you've got to learn how to handle it, more importantly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're young, it's difficult to handle. When I went to Leeds United, you know, and became very wealthy overnight. It's difficult
What,
to
just like literally like that?
overnight, yeah. Overnight became a millionaire, and so it's very difficult to handle that. And that's when you surround yourself with people who are good, you know, that are good people, and as long as you've got good people around you, they'll always ground you, you know. But it boils back down to the end of the day. Even for me today now, I wouldn't, if I could get out and play football like I could play before, I'm not bothered about how much money I can earn. I'd love to be able to get out there and play now, go to Old Trafford, go to Anfield. Special, you know, you go to Anfield on a Wednesday night. Those are special occasions, do you know what I mean? Full houses, go to Old Trafford to play. You know, you can't take those memories away, playing at Wembley in front of 90,000 people, you know, in cup finals or whatever. That's what it's all about.
With earning major money and big money comes the problems that come along with money. Now, I know we're in an era where training rooms, training grounds are locked down now from agents, sharks, potential people looking for finance. In your era, was it rife with people like making offers to the players for business opportunities and stuff that would go along, not necessarily with football?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, wherever there's money, there's always going to be people who want you to invest and you know, you've seen what's happened now with all the players who invested in the UK films.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the things. I mean, I dodged a bullet there. I spoke to Dave Plummer, who looked after mine, and everybody, I think at the time, they were all investing in, was it Lock Stock? Everybody was investing a lot of money in there. Now look at the players who have gone bankrupt. Now at the time, it was legal. Yeah. But it's like my guy said to me, who's an accountant, he said it's a loophole. And if they close the loophole, which is what they did...
You're going to lose all your money.
Plus, the players are having to pay it back with interest. I mean, I believe Rio Ferdinand was 17 million, Sol Campbell, loads of these players, and a lot of them, like Craig Short and people like that, have had to sell their house. I know Des Walker had to sell his house to pay it all off. A lot of players have caught a draft with it. And they were advised to do it at the time. As I said, it was legal. It wasn't illegal, but it was still tax evasion. So they closed the loophole and players got caught with it. I've always been cautious, mate. I'm even cautious now. You know.
I suppose if you've seen people around you get burned for that kind of money,
yeah,
it would make you more cautious, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I got hit in 2008. I bought seven places in Marbella with a couple of guys, and then the crash hit, and we lost all our money on that. But again, that came down to greed. Why did I buy 7? Didn't need to buy 7. If I'd have bought 1, or 2, I'd have been able to hold on to it. Yeah. And that's what happens sometimes, you know. I learned a valuable lesson from that and got back in my lane again.
Card schools has always been a prevalent thing in English football, especially before the drinking got phased out, where the players literally lived together, socially, trained, played. What was it like on the coach when you're going to a big game and you've got these big characters around you with big wage packets? Them gambling 10, 20, 30k is equivalent to me gambling 10, 20 or 30 pounds. The higher the stakes, the more interest for some people. Yeah. How was that? How did you find that? What can you tell us about that era?
Well, it was prevalent. I mean, I think, listen, I've known players who haven't been earning fortunes still gamble.
Really?
And gamble a lot. Yeah. You know, I roomed with John Hartson. Obviously, you know, I know Merce and people like that, and I couldn't get my head around the amount of money these guys would bet on horses or dogs or at cards. One thing I did was when I was manager, I stopped it on the coach.
So you wouldn't have your players gambling on the way to games?
No.
Is there a reason for that? Is there a story or something that you've seen in the past where that was...
Well, I just don't see how it's possible that... I mean, I lost my bonus for playing in the cup final on the coach going down to Wembley.
Jesus.
So you can't expect people to focus on a game if they're losing a month's salary or 2 months' salary or 3 months' salary, and then they're owing other players money.
Head loss.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. So I banned it from on the coaches because I don't think it's good. I mean, it's difficult if you go away on a trip
Yeah.
Because if you're somewhere for a week now and the
time they're together, it's chilling out time, isn't it?
Yeah, World Cups or European Championships, you know, you're away for a week. You know, you have a lot of spare time on your hands. If you do, like we had a card school with England that was with a group of lads that was a sensible card school.
Who was in your card school?
So
for
we had Teddy Sheringham, there was me, there was Gaza, there was Gary Pallister.
Did you just list Gaza as sensible in the card school?
No, but it was sensible in that the rules were made that what we did, it was never any Aussies, right?
Okay,
so if we were on a trip, it wouldn't be like to the next trip somebody owed you some money. Once the card school finished at that time, it was either write a cheque, it's done, and blah blah. And the people who were playing in that card school could afford to play. It wasn't somebody was in there who couldn't afford.
Who'd been roped in and couldn't
Exactly.
live by their means.
Exactly. So it wasn't like that. So it was a sensible card school, as much as it can be with somebody like Paul Gascoigne.
I was going to say, what's it like playing cards with Paul Gascoigne? You know, he's very excitable. He's got his own way and his unique character. What was he like in the card schools?
It's difficult, isn't it? If you've got that amount of money and you're very difficult to beat. It's always the same. If you're the one with the big pot in poker or whatever, you're going to win over the course of time. You know, because you
can sort of keep raising it up, can't you?
You can keep riding it out. But our card school was fun. Yeah. It never ever became personal but I have been in clubs where it's got personal, where people are owed money and it's been owed over a period of time. I've heard where managers have been involved in card schools with players, which I think is totally wrong.
That's old school, isn't it?
Yeah, that's totally wrong where managers get involved in card schools. But I mean, obviously the players get bored, and you know, as long as it's kept under wraps, you know, in terms of. You know, if the players are away for a week in training camp or 3 weeks away on a pre-season tour, there's right now, anyhow, they'll do it online, won't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Times have changed, haven't they?
Times have changed. It's not like...
Have you ever seen players come to blows over a card school?
No, never.
No.
Never. But I've had players have fallen out.
Yeah,
because
big riffs.
Yeah, because you know, the money's not been paid and it's owed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
These are bad taste amongst people. If you've made a bet, you've got to honour that bet and wager, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've seen people fall out. But
what's the biggest cheque you've ever seen change hands? You don't have to name the players if you don't want to, but what's the biggest cheque you've ever seen written out for a gambling game?
The biggest bet, and he won't mind me saying because we roomed with him and he doesn't bet anymore now, was the biggest bet, I think, was John Hartson when we were up in Scotland. He bet I think 40,000 on a Wimbledon was on at the time, and he bet 40,000. He actually won, as it happens, but I couldn't believe the money that, you know, that I seen him bet. You know,
really,
yeah. But you know, John Hartson's a big mate of mine, and I'm pleased. Like he's over all of that now with the gambling and the drinking.
I think we should make a big point about this. Gambling is an illness. It is an addiction. Sometimes it's seen as a pastime hobby that the players use but it can really suck some players in.
Well, I think once you've got so much time, you then get bored, and whilst it starts off as just being a bit of fun, then you get addicted. The addiction,
get sucked in, don't you?
The addiction is losing. Yeah. If you lose, you want to claw it back. Yeah. If you win, you want to win again. So the addiction's there. I was lucky when I first moved to Sheffield. I used to be in Allen Towers. And,
in the casino?
No, Allen Towers, the hotel.
Right,
and I used to be up and down to the casino all the time. And then the incident happened at the owner of the casino at his nightclub. An incident happened and I got barred. And from that day on, I've never bet big money.
So it's done you a favour, really?
Done me a great favour. I mean, I still have a bet now, you know, if something comes up, the football or something like that, or the boxing. Yeah, I have a little flutter, but not big money. If Lucy and I went to the races or whatever, or we were on holiday and in Monaco or wherever, we'd go to the casino. And
what a great place Monaco is.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Carlo's great, isn't it?
Yeah, love it out there. Yeah.
Is it harder to manage professional footballers nowadays than when it was back in the day? With the amount of attention that the young players get in the spotlight, with the amount of money they have to deal with agents, is it more difficult to manage a modern-day professional, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say so, because I think they're influenced by, you know, obviously social media has become a big part of the world now, isn't it? It's a big part. Everybody's worried about social media. I don't get all the thing with the phones and all of that. I mean...
Different generation, isn't it?
Different generation, each to their own. I don't, you know... like, listen, you know, I'm on Twitter, but I don't do the Facebook. And I only stayed on Twitter because I've been abroad for 14 years.
So it's good to keep in contact with ex-teammates and that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for these players right now. I think every aspect of their life is under a microscope. I mean, 110%. If I was playing today, I'd still be having a drink on a Friday night. For me, you know, I'm lucky because I'm old school in my mentality. Even now, where I'm involved in the media still, and I'm working, you know, as a football manager, I still think you have to live your life, and as long as you do it by your rules that work for you. I'm not really bothered what you say. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. That's not really. That's, you're entitled to your opinion. But like for me, being as fit as what I was, if I wanted to have a couple of pints on a Friday night, it's not an issue to me. Ron Atkinson, in fact, wouldn't play me if I didn't have a couple of pints on a Friday night. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, because that's just the way it was. It was old school then, and I don't think that, you know, all of these, you know, I'm not saying some of the things that have been brought in are not better for the game.
Yeah, I get that.
But some of the old-fashioned things are still good for the game. You know, like if you look at football now, you look at the Premier League now, and if I ask you to name me one character, you couldn't do it straight off the top of the head. But if you went back to my era, 1991, 1992, name me a character, you go Strachan, Cantona, Batty, Ince, you know, Roy Keane,
Kevin Campbell,
Patrick Vieira. Yeah. You can reel them off. You can reel them off now. Yeah, and they weren't just characters. They were, you know, Teddy Sheringham. You know, they were great players. Yeah. They were great players.
And they were great men, leaders.
And good men.
Good men. That's a good thing that needs to be pointed out.
Yeah, good men. Good men.
So a lot of players, when I do my research and watch players, I see them very superstitious. I know Gareth Bale, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, all superstitious players. Did you have any superstitions when you played, Carlton?
Well, yeah, I did, to be honest with you. One was I always had to have my shoes straight.
Really?
Yeah. And the other one was if I wore a suit and didn't play well in it, I wouldn't wear it again.
Well, you just dropped that suit out completely?
You wouldn't wear it again. But if I wore something and it was lucky and we won, then that was it. I remember at the end of the day, Lucy ripped up a pair of boxer shorts that I've been wearing for about 10 years. She said she says they've got to go. But I think what it is in sports people, and often that's what creates a problem when they come outside of their chosen sport, when they're finished, right? Because everything is a routine. Like on a match day, certain people, you know, I mean, the only person I don't know who doesn't have a routine, and he's an unbelievable footballer, is Chris Waddle. He just doesn't have a routine. That is his routine. Not having a routine. He doesn't have a routine. He just goes out and plays. That's just how he is.
That's incredible.
But you know, like I'm up in the morning, even from the night before, and I'm focusing on what I've got to do, and it is just, you know. It's just a mindset that you feel comfortable in your mind when you go out there. I mean, it was stupid if I come back from the warm-up and somebody had moved my shoes. I'd think, oh, gee, you know, I'd have to line them back up. And then when I was at Sheffield Wednesday, when I first started playing, I used to get really nervous before a game. So my dad used to say to me, well, why don't you just have a shot of brandy to calm you down before you go out and play? So you'd see me coming out at Sheffield Wednesday. When I come out the dressing room, I go into the players' lounge. The girls would have me a brandy there, shot of brandy, and I'm out.
That's absolutely brilliant.
Incy was a miniature Bell's whiskey. So when we're walking out the tunnel play for Wembley, play for England, Incy will be down in his bells, little miniature, and on he goes and plays. It's just. I think whether it actually works or not, it actually becomes just a routine. If you see Nadal, he burns the ball 3 times, brushes it. It's just what, you know. You just. It's just what you denote or what you see that's made you play well on a given day, and you go back and it just becomes a repeat. And a lot of sports people are like that.
Now, you mentioned your superstitions, in quite mild in comparison to some players. Who's the most superstitious player that you've ever, or teammate you've ever come across or worked with?
I can't say that, you know, at Sheffield Wednesday, I wouldn't say there was anybody really, no, not really, not the clubs that I've played, overly superstitious. Everybody's got their little
quirky ways,
but not overly superstitious in the teams I've played in. Yeah. Not really.
The changing rooms, different club is going to be different. Have you ever been in the changing rooms where the players rule the roost, where the players will sort out other players if they're not sticking to the programme?
Well, we had that at Sheffield Wednesday. We had that at Leeds United. We had a very, very strong group at Sheffield Wednesday. I think, if I'm right, 8 or 9 of the team went on to become managers. That's how strong the dressing room was. We had a group of players that were hell bent on winning.
Yeah.
Hell bent on winning, and it wasn't acceptable. It wasn't acceptable. Poor performances. It wasn't acceptable if somebody wasn't at it. So we used to sort it out ourselves. Used to get sorted out. We used to have a Thursday club at Sheffield Wednesday where we went out, and it's great. You know, after the game on a Saturday, we used to end up in the Rising Sun pub in Door, and it wouldn't be like it was like planned. It would be like, well, what
just
you doing?
Spontaneous.
Ersty, what you doing? Wadler, what you doing? Big Nige, what you doing? And we all lived around the area, and we all got on really, really well. So it was never ever taken personally. It was just about the job that needed to be done, which was to win on a Saturday.
When you've got such a group of competitive men together, they're living and breathing and striving for one goal, the tempers ever flare?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Really? I envision like it could be a build-up as well.
Yeah.
So you and, say, your centre midfield partner or your centre back, you've clashed a couple of times, you've bit your tongue. Over the course of a season, can you see that maybe
No,
come
not
to
not like that.
No.
Not a build-up of issues, but like on a given day, if things weren't going right, if we weren't winning, if people weren't playing well, then people were held accountable. It's something that doesn't happen now. Oh yeah, people were
How
held.
would that conversation go? So me and you were playing centre midfield.
Well,
I've had the worst game held on, number 8, worst game ever.
Yeah.
What would you say to me at half time?
Well, I'll give you one instance. When we were playing, we had 7, maybe 8 internationals in the side. So people would be away. You'd come back on a Thursday. You'd report back. Maybe not even till a Friday. You got a game on the Saturday. So in the year we were going for promotion, I think we were playing Oldham at home, and we'd all been away. John Sheridan and myself and Ersty, Nigel Worthington, Danny Wilson, all of the internationals had been away, come back, and I'd been on the drink, I think, on the Thursday, big session on the Thursday, and we're 2-0 down at half time, 2-0 down, and big Nigel Pearson's got me up against the wall.
Really?
Yeah, it got me up against the wall, and then it all just reverberated around the dressing room about what we were about, what we were trying to do. And second half we went out and won 3-2. But that's how we sparked each other off in the dressing room. It was nothing personal. It was about, well, hang on a minute, you're letting me down. You're letting your teammate down. And we always had that in our dressing room, whereby we were tight as lads. We'd look out for each other. You know, if anything was going to go off, it would go off in a big way, because we could look after ourselves, we could drink, we could party, we could play football, and it was just an unbelievable mix.
Sounds like a great era.
Oh no, it was. I couldn't wait for training sessions. I couldn't wait for
Thursday club.
Yeah, Thursday club was brilliant. That just started, you know, because like me and Ersty, like Idris Shes likes to drink, and that Thursday club. I mean, but even players who didn't drink, Mark Bright didn't drink, Chris Bart Williams didn't drink.
But they would be involved in the banter and the group.
Yeah, well,
that's the part of it, isn't it?
Well, Brighty would be on, you know, the double parking with his pen and all that, with drinks and whatever. But everybody was together. Everybody was together.
Love that.
And if somebody was going through a bad time, it was everybody stuck up for them. Everybody got around them, because we all realised that everybody's going to go through a bad time. It wasn't like there was never no pointing in our dressing room. It was all about we.
What was you like with youth players personally, young players that are just coming into the team, maybe not on the same level as the senior pros? How did you handle them, and what was your?
Yeah, no, it was always with the way I was treated by Brian Robson, by Cyril, by Derek Statham, Clive Whitehead, Martin Bennett. When I was coming through at West Brom, they always treated me very, very well. They always looked out for me.
Do you think that rubbed off on you for the next generation, how to conduct yourself, how to be a proper player, like a role model for the guys?
Well, and I think that's part and parcel of it all. It's about, even when you become a manager, it's not just about the football. I've learned so much from, like I've said, Howard Wilkinson and Ron Atkinson, Dave Jones at Southampton. You know, I've learned so much from these people, and I think your job as a manager is to help these people to go on in life. Do you know what I mean? Like right now, I'm dealing with players that, yeah, it's tough, but, you know, you can do it. You can do it. Whereas, you know, the general consensus in society is that everybody's going to be successful, and that's not the truth. Everybody's not going to cut out to be successful, and you can find your own piece of what works for you, but you've just got to keep going. If you get a knockback, not to give in, not to take it personal, to look at yourself. The one thing people don't do anymore is look at themselves. Like at Leeds United, we used to have a thing where the team sheet used to go up. I never used to wait around for the team sheet to go up.
No.
No, I do.
You anticipated you were playing?
Well, if you played well on the Saturday before,
what you
should be playing. But the only time you have to start looking at the team sheet is if you haven't played well. Then you're kidding yourself if you think that you're going to be playing and you've not done your job. So that's about being honest and realistic. Like I sent a message out to my players about the game tonight. I said to them, right, listen, it's got to start with me. I said, we all have to look at ourselves individually. And I said, obviously, I'm not doing well enough because we're not getting results. So therefore, I have to start by looking at me, right? Rather than pointing fingers. Right. You have to look at yourselves and are you doing the best that you can do? And if we all get together and work on that premise, then we'll sort the problem out.
Yeah.
But it's when people start going, well, I'm doing all right. But it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the team. You might be doing all right, but the team's getting beat. It's not about you.
Get that.
So,
you had the pleasure of working under one of the most underappreciated England managers, certainly of my era, in Graham Taylor. He handed you 18 England caps, a huge honour to represent your country, to be the main man in centre midfield. What was he like as a man, as a manager? What was his man management style?
Well, he was brilliant for me, and obviously I'm going to say that for 19 England caps. But no, he was
19. I correct you. I robbed you of a hat there.
Yeah, but he was brilliant for me. You know, in terms of in my opinion, I should have had more England caps. But then this comes back to the media's perception and this, that, the other. How can when Graham Taylor goes, everybody gets picked for the next squad, and I'm the only one that's left out? But that's the London mafia with the media. If you're picking everybody from the previous squad, then you make your decision after that, don't you? And that was Terry Venables. But I knew when he took over that I wouldn't play.
Really?
I knew. Ron Atkinson told me I wouldn't play because Terry's very clever. He plays the London mafia, plays the London media. So if the London media don't want me involved, which I've never got involved with the media, I've never taken money off the media. Yeah. The only time I've ever had any money off the media would be like if we've got to a cup final and it's gone into a pot with the lads.
Do you think it's hindered you that you didn't play the game in the media then a little bit?
Yeah, of course it does. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? So with Graham Taylor, from the first moment, he first of all, what an absolute gentleman he is.
Really?
He's an absolute gentleman. And he rang me up and he said to me, listen, he told me straight, he said, you're in on merit, but you wouldn't have been playing if everybody was fit. That is for sure. He said,
respect a man like that.
Yeah, he said to me, he said, well, it was a nightmare for me because England were playing Russia, and we've got the semi-final against Sheffield United on Wembley on the Sunday. So Trevor Francis didn't want me to go and play. Yeah. So Graham Taylor rang me up and he said, right, listen.
Would that be for your first cap for England?
That would be my first cap. Wow. And he told me 110% that I was going to play. And he made it clear. He said, this may only be you're in on merit, but this may be your only chance.
Because of the calibre of players that were already in centre midfield playing for England in and around the team. Yeah.
Correct. So, so me and Trevor Francis had a fallout about it. Obviously, I could understand from Trevor's point of view. Biggest game in the club's history, FA Cup semi-final against Sheffield United on the Sunday.
Wow.
But I put it to Trevor and said, well, what would you want to do if it was you? Yeah. If it was roles reversal? You know what I mean?
And you got your cap.
And I might have been the only chance to get an England cap. So, I went, we won, I played well. No, I think we drew 2-2. We drew 2-2 in Russia, and I played well, and I still played on the Sunday with an injury because I actually did get injured, and we got to the final of the cup, so it all worked out. But he was a great man. He was very similar to Ron in his belief in me, in his belief of.
And you respond and react very well to that, don't you?
With his belief with me, and me and Gazza had a good rapport in the team. We had a good, in terms of, his ability to play the game and my ability to get the ball and get it to him.
Get him the ball.
Yeah. So we had a good ability, and the problem that came in was an issue with Paul Ince. So if you remember the first game. We play Holland at Wembley. We end up drawing that game. We should actually win that game. If we win that game, we're qualified to go to the World Cup.
And then it's all different, isn't it?
It's all different. It's all different. And I actually then get to go to a World Cup. But what happened was, in that first game, I got man of the match, and we drew 2-2. For the return game now in Rotterdam, Paul Ince had gone to see Graham Taylor and kind of pulled rank. You know, he's Manchester United and whatever. And Graham Taylor said to me, like, Carlton, will you play on the right-hand side? Because Ince had played on the right-hand side in the first game at Wembley. And Ince can play on the right-hand side. I can't. Yeah. I'm just filling in the job. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he just said to me, listen, Carlton, it is what it is. You've got the two De Boer brothers on that side. Just
get the ball.
Just cancel them out. Obviously, we needed a draw in the game over there, and at half time it was 0-0, and then it you know, so Graham wanted to win the game, and he just said to me, you've done well, Carlton, but you know, we want to try and win the game. And you know, with all due respect, if you're going to open the game up, he brought Andy Sinton on for me. If you're going to open the game, the one person you need on the pitch then is somebody who's got legs.
Bit of pace to get in.
Yeah. So then I never got another cap after that, even though I went to Leeds United for big money and was playing well for Leeds.
Does that hurt you, the fact you never got another chance to get back into the team after doing a job at right midfield, out of your position, trying to help out?
Well, what hurt me more than anything was if you pick the same squad and just leave one player out.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't get that.
Yeah,
you pick everybody, the same squad, but because the media, I was never the media's cup of tea, and the media never fancied me. So Terry, he might have a different view on it, but you know, he can have a different view on it. The simple fact is, he picked everybody else in that next squad apart from me. And why? Because the media were always on to Graham Taylor about picking me. But the simple fact is, the majority of the time I played, I was on the winning side. The facts were I was playing for a side that was finishing second, fourth or fifth in
challenging for the league.
For the league title. So therefore, if you're playing for a top 5 team and you're playing well, then obviously you're going to be considered for...
Goes without saying, doesn't it?
It goes without saying. It goes without saying. So, you know, if you look at things and say, right... If you take, which I'm no disrespect to Gareth Southgate, but if you look at things and take respectively, Gareth Southgate got over 60 claps. Correct me if I'm wrong, he never played in a side that finished in the top 6, did he?
I haven't got the exact stats on that. I'll have to go through it. I don't remember Villa finishing top 6 with him and Hugo Ekiog at the back.
No, I don't. And he never went to Liverpool, never went to Man United, never went to Arsenal. But yet he had 60 caps outside a side that finished outside the top 5. So
you're saying if your face fits, you're in. If your face didn't fit at the time, you weren't in.
Well, it's like even with him, with the England manager, and I think he's done well. But he's got the England manager's job because he fits the persona of how they want England to be represented. He comes across the right way, says the right things, right? But then there's always the criticism, isn't there? Like, okay, well, I think he's done a fantastic job, and England were penalties away from winning the Euros. But then the argument comes back and says, well, the group opened up, right? And we had the draws we had. Yeah. If he'd have been a bit more adventurous, we could have gone on and won it. But you can't argue with the fact that there were penalties away from winning it, right? But I'm just showing you the media's perception, the way the media are with certain people. You know, Sam Allardyce, when he was manager of England, they got him out when there was no
shortest spell of any England manager.
And no substance to the reason why they got him out. But his
face didn't fit. Too many pints of wine.
Yeah,
can't do the job.
Correct. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, when you think about the intricacies of football, the way things pan out and work out. You're only one win or one loss away from a completely different journey.
Well, look at Jack Grealish now.
Yeah.
He's never been a regular for England. He makes a move for 100 million, and then all of a sudden he's starting for England.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Hey, you know, he wasn't. The summer tournament's only just gone. And he wasn't a regular for England, and now he's gone for 100 million, and you watch, he'll be a regular starter for England.
Say the same for Sancho as well. Now he's back in the Premier League, terrorising. Will he get more games for England? He looked like a forgotten man at the Euros, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's just that's just the way the media push things and get things to go, because he hasn't all of a sudden changed into
a better player overnight.
I think he will become a better player under Pep, and he will become a better player playing with better players for sure. But then overnight, he'll be an England regular now.
Interesting. So Graham Taylor got unlimited amount of stick for England not going to the World Cup. As you mentioned, we were literally on the cusp of doing it. Do you think it was unfair, the criticism that was levelled at him? Do you think it was more of a personal attack than a football attack? People calling him turnip head and everything that went around with him losing his job.
Well, it's embarrassing because there's one thing, you know, not qualifying, and there's the other thing being personal as what they did. He's got a family, you know, and a lovely family he's got, and the way they ridiculed him was wrong. And
It
what
must be hard to read stuff like that about yourself or your kids reading stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it is, especially when it's nothing related to football.
Yeah.
It's nothing related to football. Yeah. And what people forget, that he took over from Sir Bobby Robson. He took over also from a side that was close to winning the World Cup.
They were quite an ageing side as well.
The side was finished. Yeah. The side was finished. The side was done. So it was a complete new rebuilding job, right? So it's difficult then in that moment when you're losing the likes of Gary Lineker, you're losing the likes of Chris Waddle, Peter Beardsley, Mark Wright, you know, Des Walker was still there.
Established internationals.
Peter Beardsley, Peter Reid, all of these players who were established international, 60 caps these players have got, that now are not available to you. So for him to receive the criticism that he's got, when we went to the European Championships in '92, you're taking players like Alan Shearer, Carlton Palmer, they haven't got 10 caps to the name. Do you know what I mean? And the campaign for the World Cup, we were really unlucky with that campaign because Wembley was out of action.
Out of use, yeah.
So we had to. So what we
did they play at every ground around?
No. So what happened was we had to play the first 2 games at Wembley, or the first 2 or 3 games at Wembley, and the last 3 games away from home, and that is always difficult.
That's a
because
killer.
and then you know the way that things went against us. You look at Denmark in the opening game. We've all over Denmark. So if the worst thing happens, it's a draw. But in the 94th minute, if you remember, he scores one from about 40 yards straight in the top corner. We're 2-0 up against Holland at Wembley.
Comes back to 2-2.
Comes back to 2-2, which there's an argument that Des Walker pulled him back before he went into the box. Wouters breaks Gazza's cheekbone with an elbow that puts Gazza out, you know. And then even in the last game, the ill-fated game in Rotterdam, how's Ronald Koeman, if it's a penalty, then he has to go. If it's not a penalty, he still has to go.
Yeah.
And the penalty takes us to the World Cup. So
such thin margins, isn't it?
It's fine margins. But, you know, he was always a very humble guy, and to see the way that he was ridiculed. And what I didn't like is then when he died, all of these reporters were coming out and saying all these nice things about him. No, you weren't. You didn't say nice things about him. You know, a lot of you were very, very disrespectful to him because none of it was about football.
No, it was about his personal appearance. It was about things away from football that did not need to be highlighted.
Correct. And I think for Graham, to be fair to Graham, and if I'm being honest, I think his management style was suited to club football. You know, getting the players together, you know, for a short period of time, a week before the game, doesn't work for him. What he achieved at Watford and Aston Villa was working with those players week in, week out, you know. It takes a different kind of manager. I think if you're a functional manager like Graham is, you know, it's very difficult when you get to players for a short period of time before either an international or a major tournament.
I've got to say, it's been a great pleasure hosting episode 1 of this show with you. Getting to know you a little bit and becoming friends with you and understanding your life and your mentality. It's been a great pleasure. As we divulge and go through the episodes, we're going to give away more information in depth on each thing. But I think today's been a brilliant start, and it's been fantastic to just get things moving and slowly engross the audience in your stories and your life. So thank you ever so much for today.
Thank you.
And
really enjoyed it.
I look forward to part 2. I really do, with real pleasure. And I just want to say thank you to Hallam, the oldest football ground in the UK, for having us today.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.